So I was feeling really good. I was at the JetBlue terminal at JFK. I was going on a great trip. I was going with my wife Abigail, my son Ari, who was 5, and my son Blake, who was 8, and we were going to Breckenridge to visit our friends Jeff and Debbie. It was a great trip. It took a lot of planning though. I'd even found a flight that was going to Denver, and it was relatively inexpensive. The only problem was it landed at 2 o'clock in the morning. That was fine because I'd also planned to have a hotel that was in the terminal. It was a very nice Westin. We were feeling really good. So I planned this thing. It was going to be the best vacation ever. So we sit down for dinner at the terminal, and we're eating some overpriced but surprisingly tasty cheeseburgers. And my wife turns to me and she says, "What's the reservation number our hotel tonight?" And I said, "I don't know. Didn't you make that reservation?" And she said, "No, no, no, I didn't." So we spent the next half an hour trying to find the next nearest hotel, which wasn't right in the terminal. It was a half an hour away, a budget motel, but it worked out. So we got on the flight, and yet again, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. We're going to land, but it's going to be okay because what kind of kids, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, they're going to go to sleep. They're going to nap. It's going to be fine. I actually checked with my 5-year-old today, and he said, "Yep, that sounds great." But the problem was JetBlue has these little tiny screens on the front of on the front of the on the back of the seats. So the kids were sitting there and looking at it, and they're watching these movies, and they watched cartoons until about 1:45 when they nodded off just as we went in for landing. So we're walking through the airport in Denver, and I'm walking through the airport, and I'm bringing my luggage behind me, and I've got a 8-year-old and a 5-year-old lying on top of the luggage as we drag it. But once we got to Breckenridge, it was amazing. It's the tallest ski mountain in North America. It's 13,000 feet. And there were days where Abigail and I had a whole peak to ourselves, just beautiful white snow as far as we could see. It was amazing. And the base of Breckenridge is as high as as high as the summits of lots of nearby mountains. And this was all great, except for the fact that if you're that high, there's quite a possibility of getting altitude sickness. And our friends Jeff and Debbie, who we were visiting, ended up getting it. And they couldn't sleep. They could barely eat. They woke up every morning kind of nauseous with these bloodshot eyes. And Abigail wasn't doing so well either. So one day my son Blake comes in, he's 8, and we go get some comfort food for mom. And he comes back and he goes, Mommy, I got you some wine. That'll make you feel better. She looks at him and she just goes, oh no. She goes, "I have altitude sickness. This wine's going to make me dehydrated. It's just going to make me sicker." And Blake just goes and he looks down and he goes, "I'm sorry, Mommy. Wine always makes Mommy feel better." So you'd think that with all these problems, this would have been just things that happen. It wasn't my fault, but sometimes it kind of was. Like this time when Ari was going to ski school, and he comes at the end of the day, and I say, "How's it going?" And he goes, "It's going okay, but how do you pee in the ski suit?" And I'm trying to be an encouraging dad. I'm the type of person, it's like, "Son, it's going to be okay. Just don't worry about it. Just go to the bathroom and pee and you'll be fine." I felt very good about this. So of course it's the next day, and I see Ari and he's looking kind of sad. I say, "Ari, what's the problem?" And he goes, "It's nothing." Eventually I get it out of him. And Ari, what's going on? He goes, "I peed my pants." And I realized at that time that yesterday's question wasn't an informational question or a confidence building exercise. It was actually something that I could have gone and showed him and, kind of been a different kind of good father, and we wouldn't be in the problem that we were in today. So overall, the trip was pretty good. We're coming to the end of the trip, and it's the last time we're going up the mountain. Abigail and I are sitting next to each other on the lift, And I said, Abigail, you got to be really careful. We got to be really careful. This is the last run. And, on the last run, everyone tries to get the most out of it, but they're tired. So they make kind of stupid mistakes. And that's where people get hurt. She says, I know. We've talked about this. I know. So we get off the lift, and Breckenridge, for those of you who haven't been there, has a little kind of complicated signage. It's kind of like asking the scarecrow from the Wizard of Oz for directions. So Abigail sees a sign that says go that way, and I see a sign that goes that way. And we both follow our signs, and we smack into each other. We start rolling down the hill in a big snowball, snow all around us, and then we stop. And the snow starts dissipating around us, kind of like a fog. And I look up and I see a genie appear out of nowhere. Except it wasn't a genie, it was the ski patrol guy in a big yellow suit. And he turns to me and he says, are you okay? And I think about it. And I realize I'm more than okay. Nobody's been to the hospital in our family, which is really good because we really prioritize that. We had great food. We got to see great friends with some awesome skiing. And even the things that didn't go perfectly, like the fact that Jeff and Debbie had altitude sickness, meant that Abigail and I could spend more time together than we'd spent in a long time since the kids were born. And I learned something really important on this trip. It was my decision to have an awesome trip. It didn't matter about the perfect planning that I tried and did not go well. I was able to look at all the little mishaps and pratfalls that we had and take a step back and realize that these were pretty funny and these are going to make a great story one day. So the next time that you go on a trip, just realize that you have the opportunity to make that trip the best vacation ever. Thank you very much, Toastmasters.